T-Bird fans, we welcome you to a brand new edition of T-Bird Talk. I'm Cloud County Community College Sports Information Director, Toby Nosker. That's right, T-Bird Talk is back for its third season. And today, we're going to be previewing the 2026 Cloud County Community College volleyball season when we sit down with new T-Bird head volleyball coach Maria Aikins and assistant coach James Aikins. Last night, the Cloud County Community College volleyball team hosted its annual Black and Gold scrimmage in front of a huge crowd at Arlie Bryan Gymnasium in Concordia. And now Cloud County is opening its 2026 regular season with 4 matches at the 2026 North Platte Community College Tournament in North Platte, Nebraska. On Friday, the Cloud County Community College volleyball team will meet up with McCook Community College at 4 p.m. and the host school, the Knights of North Platte Community College, at 6:30. The T-Birds will close out the weekend Saturday, taking on Laramie County Community College at 12:30 and Gillette Community College at 3 p.m. The T-Birds return 4 members of the 2025 team. Sophomore right side Kennedy Casanova is Cloud County's returning kills leader. Casanova, a native of Derby, Kansas, tallied 126 kills while also contributing 80 digs and 45 total blocks last year. Sophomore middle hitter Julie Sandoval, a native of Corpus Christi, Texas, recorded 43 kills and 32 total blocks while starting 12 matches in 2025. Sophomore libero Brooke Lougheed accumulated 128 assists to finish third on the team to go with 238 digs and 29 service aces. Lougheed, a native of Spruceview, Alberta, Canada, posted a season-high 20 digs against Neosho County Community College and reached double-figure digs 11 times a year ago. Sophomore defensive specialist Addison Ogle, a native of Claflin, Kansas, was second on the team with 348 assists and reached double-digit digs 5 times, ending the year with 148 digs. The T-Birds take a youthful approach to the season with 10 freshmen, including more international flavor to the depth charts. Cloud County will now host 6 players from 6 different countries. Up next, we'll preview the 2026 volleyball season when we're joined by Coach Maria Aikins and Coach James Aikins. This is T-Bird Talk.
Are you a Kansas or Nebraska high school senior who's thinking about your next step after high school? If so, you qualify for Cloud County Community College's $500 early bird scholarship. All you have to do is visit campus before December 19th and have a GPA of 3.0 or higher, and you get a $500 scholarship guaranteed. So come visit Cloud and see why our students are Cloud proud. On your visit, you'll see our campus, meet with an academic advisor, and get a chance to have all your questions answered. Set up your campus visit today by giving us a call at 785-243-1435 extension 212 or visiting us online at cloud.edu/admissions.
The Cloud County Community College volleyball team will open up its 2026 season this week as they head to North Platte, Nebraska to compete in the North Platte Community College Tournament this Friday and Saturday. 4 matches on deck for the T-Birds, and joining us is new Cloud County Community College head volleyball coach Maria Aikins, and also with us is T-Bird assistant volleyball coach James Aikins, and I appreciate the two of you taking time to join us and want to talk about the 2026 season ahead. But before we get into that, Coach, let's talk a little bit about your journey back to Cloud County Community College. And I say back because you started out as a player, as a former T-Bird yourself. What was that experience like for you competing here at the collegiate level at Cloud County? And how much did that time, in the T-Bird uniform mean to you as a player?
Well, to be honest, thanks, Toby. I'm very excited to be back. I obviously love this community. I love the school. I love everything it stands for. So, I'm very excited to be back. I'm very honored to, come back in a different role, right, from a player now to a coach. So be able to kind of give back a little bit to the game, like how it was able to kind of give to me when I was growing up. So, I loved it here. I mean, I wouldn't be back if that wasn't the case, right? And it's close to family. It is like a family here. So I just love that, how that kind of translates from on the court when I was a player to now being a coach and kind of seeing the behind the scenes a little bit. And just seeing how the professors and, faculty really care about their students and can kind of continue that tradition, because I really felt that when I was here. Great people. There's still people, obviously, staff that still works here when I was going to school, and it's roles reversed now. They're my peer now, going versus when I was down the hallway and, they're telling me to get to class and stuff. But it's good. I am excited to be back and continue, with being here and taking over the volleyball program, so it's meant a lot to me growing up. It was, my baseline. It created open doors for me as well too. And, I had a really good coach that really kind of pushed me to, get out of my comfort zone. And, he's actually the coach who introduced me into coaching. He sat down with me one day, and Marquis Clark at the time, and told me, hey, I think you'd be a really great coach. And he actually, when we did the All-Star game, when my freshman year, he had me be an assistant coach on the other side, coaching against him. So that was pretty eye-opening, and getting that experience. And then going from there, and then he actually asked me to coach club with them and be his assistant at the time. So yeah, he opened up the doors, like I said, to coaching, and that's where I am, Eric, because of here. So
you came to Cloud not too far from home, growing up in Salina, Kansas, about 50 minutes south of Concordia, so you stayed relatively close. And I know you were a multi-sport athlete, not just at Salina Central, but even starting out here at Cloud. But ultimately, what was it about volleyball itself that you really gravitated towards? What attracted you to this sport specifically?
That's a great question. Because I kind of went back and forth, and yes, I am from Salina, 45 minutes away, and I was able to play, and I'm very grateful that I was able to play volleyball, basketball, and I did track as well too there. And my first love was basketball, actually, and I kind of did volleyball just to stay in shape. I didn't know too much about it, and I actually didn't start playing until like 8th grade year. And I did it because all my friends were like, hey, we should do it, kind of thing. I was like, okay, let me try this out. I wasn't a big fan of the spandex and all this stuff, that you're kind of that age is kind of a little awkward, middle school age. But then after that, I'm like, man, this is actually really fun. I feel like it's a very camaraderie sport. It takes everybody to have to do something. You can't just stand there and, kind of be a hole in the wall, a hole on the court and stuff. So that kind of opened up my eyes to how amazing this sport is and the team camaraderie, and I love it with that, and I kind of ran with it. And so then I kind of did that because I thought it was going to make me better for basketball, and it did. It translated a lot, the explosiveness, going to go rebound, getting up and down the court, the aggressiveness in a different manner. So that was really eye-opening as well too. So I'm very grateful for that experience. And so then you did track to obviously stay in shape and translate into that, and then I think it was my senior year when I kind of figured out what I wanted to do. I was getting recruited for all three, but I think for the most part, I really knew volleyball was the one I really enjoyed and I loved. I loved basketball. I loved my coaches at the time as well too. They were very great. So yeah, it was really hard to let it go. So when I got here, I obviously signed to play volleyball, and I talked to Coach Erkenbrack because I went on my visit, and it was after I had a really great game against one of the schools and stuff. And he kind of sat down. It was kind of funny. I will never forget this. Erkenbrack had the newspaper, and then the Salina Journal, and it had my our picture in there. We had a great game that day and stuff. And he remember looking at me, and he's like, hey, this is you. And I was like, yes, it is. So it's kind of funny. So he's like, well, once you're done with volleyball, come talk to me. And I was like, okay. And so it just kind of happened that way, where I was done with volleyball and I was kind of mid-season, and I was watching basketball warm up and do their practices. And I was like, man, I really, started kind of getting that feeling, that itch back, man, I it's going to be weird now just, playing basketball after this and stuff. So Erkenbrack gave me a chance, and I got to play with them for, a couple months, but that was hard. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how. I kudos to all kids who can do multi-sports, because that was a lot for me in my schedule, and I just felt like I was really never in class, and I just felt like it was a lot. So kind of had a conversation with Erkenbrack, and he was understanding. He got it, because basketball season is pretty long and runs through a lot of holidays, and and that's also why I'm back, because it's close to family. 45 minutes away, and being able not having a day off on Thanksgiving, and then Christmas break, it was like 5 days, and I had to come back. So it was a lot, but I think I learned a lot and made me how to grow up a lot as well too. So I'm very thankful for that experience. I'm thankful for Erkenbrack for taking a chance on me, and great person, great coach. Obviously, he's a coach of the Hall of Fame, so it was really nice to kind of learn from him, and Coach Miller at the time as well too. So
obviously had a very successful career here at Cloud as a middle hitter, receiving second team all-conference and all-region honors during your time as a T-Bird. Moved on to Bethany College to finish out your time collegiately. And you mentioned the conversation with former T-Bird volleyball coach Marquis Clark about maybe you should think about considering coaching. How much did you really think about it? And once you were finally wrapping up your time as a player, when did you really start considering wanting to get into the coaching game?
Initially that conversation, it was really great, and I feel like kind of did open up, and it made me really sit back because and initially I verbally committed to Rockers because I thought I was going into nursing. That was the hardest part too, is like realizing I'm going into nursing. I thought that's what I wanted to do, but in reality, I think I was just trying to make my parents happy. Sorry, Mom and Dad, but but it was just one of those things when you're coming out of high school, it's like everybody asks you that $1 million question: what do you want to do? What do you do? And I'm like, well, I want to help people. I knew for a fact I want to help people, but I thought maybe nursing was going to be the calling. But then I remember going back, and I just absolutely loved all my teachers. I loved my PE teacher, and I had one PE teacher that is still teaching, and she's actually last year at Salina Central, Tracy Pfeiffer. And she was just a big inspiration for me. The way she just had relationships with everybody, really guided through her craft. Yes, it was, PE. We were playing, basketball, volleyball, whatever the case was, tennis. But just the way she engaged with all of us, it just made us feel special and valued in whatever we did, and realized like, hey, we can... like what we're doing in here, yes, is important, but at the end of the day, it's like who you're becoming because of what you're doing. And I'm like, man, that really resonated with me. So she kind of opened up opened my eyes to that as well. And then, so we did a lot of little kids camp stuff, and I really enjoyed that. I absolutely loved it, and I thrived in it because you kind of swoop down to the elementary school level. So it was fun. And then, so I kind of have a little bit of experience with that. And then Marquis, I think that's where he just, kind of opened it up and kind of told me and put it in the back of my head, like, hey, I could probably do this. And then I know after that I really want to be a teacher. So then I ended up going to Bethany, like you said, and I went to the teaching program there. They were great. My professors were awesome. I felt like I got a lot of professional one-on-one observations, a lot of skills within that time frame, because I had to really sit down and be intentional about my learning and what I really wanted to do and everything. So honestly, and then that kind of, I'm telling you, volleyball opens up doors. It really did. So I started getting into coaching club with Marquis, and then I kind of stayed there. And at the time, as our Kansas commissioner, Randy Watson, he had a club out of McPherson, and we coached for him, and it was like a top tier team. It was like what at the time was called Gold, but now it's Premier. And they're, playing in qualifiers, like national qualifiers. And so here I am at 18 years old, and some of the I was coaching like a group of seniors, so 17 18 year olds, the same age as me, 18 19 year olds. And these girls are just legit. Like I was walking in, I'm like, man, these girls are all going Division I, Division II volleyball, and like you're sitting there like, wow, and they're all the same, almost around the same age as you. So you're kind of watching in awe, but they're looking out to you like for, hey, coach, what did I do wrong? And you're like sitting there like, well, you're doing everything great. Well, that was just one bad thing, like one bad move or this and that, one tough move. So it was very, very cool. Like it was a really cool experience, and I'm very grateful for everybody kind of giving a chance on me. And I think that's just how it just kind of kept opening. Went to Bethany after I was done. I was like, what am I going to do? I can't play volleyball anymore, And when you do something for so long, you're like, what am I going to do? And actually K-Dub's coach, hey, like come on down during spring. And so I kind of trained with them a little bit, got to learn more from him, got to watch their practices and stuff like that. I kind of got to join in a little bit of that. And I just continued with club. Like I loved club. I just loved club volleyball. And that opened up an opportunity to coach the Salina South. So I was doing my student teaching because I was done with my eligibility with volleyball. And then student teacher came around, and they were like, hey, we need a coach. Would you like to be our JV coach at Salina South? And I'm coming from Salina Central. That was kind of like, oh my gosh, like I can't do that. I can't go represent a Cougar, being a Mustang all my life. But at the end of the day, kids are kids, and school is school, and the controllables. And, and I really took that with pride. And I was honored, obviously, to be asked. So I coached JV volleyball for a year. And then the following year, I got a teaching job at Hutch, so they asked me to come coach with them. And Tina Johnson also, I'm telling you, the volleyball world is small. Tina Johnson, a Hall of Fame coach, very successful at Hoisington, and then turned around and was at the head coach at the time at Hutch. Hutchinson High School. She asked me, and she's like, hey, well, we'll find you a teaching job. We'll get you to coaching. I would love for you to coach. And I was like, okay. So I ended up right after I graduated Bethany, I had my teaching job and went to coach. did middle school volleyball for a year, and that was fun. That was experience in itself, and but I loved it. It was awesome. Did really well there. And then the coach resigned. She actually retired, and so then they asked me to step up to the 6A, 5A level at the time, and I was like, wow, being 23 years old and at the time being asked to take over a pretty big school in the state of Kansas, it was a little intimidating, but I was excited, anxious with all the emotions, you kind of get that imposter syndrome. Can I do this at this young age? But no, it was really cool. Everybody was pretty receptive to it, and I stayed there for 6 seasons. The first season was really awesome because we went to state, and so they were 10-28, and the following year, so when we took over, it was 16-24 going to state. I will never forget this tournament. We were number 3 in the seed, going to go play against Wichita North. And oh my gosh, in Wichita Northwest, and we in Wichita Northwest ended up being the number 1 seed, and we beat them that game, and we went to the championship and beat them and kind of pulled an upset, and we're at the only team at state with a losing record going in, but our girls were pumped. We were pumped. We pulled a great upset, and we learned a lot that year. Our first year is like, wow, this is where these teams are at. You got your Latham Northwest. You had your at the time Washburn Rural. You see some very prestigious schools, St. Thomas Aquinas, St. James. Like the very top teams, and I was pumped to be there. And we're like, okay, let's go learn. And started. It was a really great first year, and then the second year we kind of just kept building off of that, kept going up and up, and keep building and working with our kids and kind of getting that pipeline going. And then our final year at Hutch, we did really well and went back to state again. So we went to state 3 times out of my 6 years. And then the last time I was at Hutch, we got 3rd at state, and it was really cool. It was really, really fun experience. We had a great group of girls. Girls who were invested, a community behind us who were invested. I think we kind of got when we got that kind of started was the kids, was the buy-in that we can do this. It's possible. I will never forget this, and I don't know how this may sound, but I remember sitting down and kind of speaking with one of my higher ups, and we're like, hey, when you take over this program, make it fun. And I was like, okay, we could do that. That was like a challenge. And they're like, I will never forget this. Don't expect to ever go to state or have success with this group. It would be really hard. It's really hard to compete at this level. And then I remember looking at him and just smiling. And when you have a coach or somebody in front of you telling you that, I just had the mentality, let's prove them wrong. And I was really pumped, and that kind of just fueled me for the years to come where we're at Hutch, is keep proving people wrong. And you know what? I still carry that to today, is just continue to people don't expect a lot. You prove them wrong. So sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, and post Hutchinson, I know you make a move to the collegiate level.
Yes.
And I want to talk about that experience in the 3 years that you spent at Allen Community College. But I guess before we jump into that, let me bring assistant coach James Aikins into the conversation as well, because I'm assuming you didn't grow up playing volleyball. You probably didn't have aspirations when you were younger to be a collegiate volleyball coach. And so I kind of want to talk a little bit about your journey here as well. But starting out, where'd you grow up, and did you grow up playing sports in general?
Yeah, I grew up in southeast Kansas in a really small town called Thayer, Kansas, a town of like 450 people. I grew up playing sports. I played football and basketball and baseball all up to my freshman year, and then I just played football and baseball after that. We were a small town team, but I was a starter from freshman year on. So I kind of had I was kind of put into that kind of role early on, where I was always kind of looked at as one of the better players on my teams, even when at a young age. So that was kind of, that was kind of cool and stuff. But I didn't end up going to college or anything after that. I actually joined the military after going through high school. I joined the Navy, and I was an IT in the Navy for about 4.5 years. And when I got out, I actually moved up to the Salina area, and that's where I actually eventually met Coach. And she was coaching the Kansas Jets, which she talked about earlier, and how she said everyone kind of just guided her to becoming like a coach to where she is now. Like I kind of saw that like immediately with her. I saw the group that she was coaching with. It was 12-year-olds out of McPherson, the Kansas Jets. They're kind of from all over, but that's where the club was out of. And these girls walk in and they're like 6 foot, 6'1", 5'10", and I'm like, what age group are you coaching? And she says, these are 12-year-olds. I was like, no way, these are 12-year-olds. Because they're like, this is like one of the best teams I've ever seen. And it was a club travel ball team, and they were the gold, in the gold section, which is premier now. But so I was just sitting there watching the team play and just seeing how good these girls were at such a young age and watching her coach. And I could tell at that moment that like, wow, like she's actually like a really, really good coach. I even knew when she was that young that she was, everyone already seen it. And then I saw it that day, and I kind of just got bit by the bug, honestly. Like I immediately just fell in love with it. And like I just wanted to go to like watch her play in her tournaments, coach on the tournaments, and I just wanted to be a part of it. So the next year, I asked to join just to learn from her and join the Kansas Jets, and they didn't pay me anything that first year. I coached for a T-shirt. That's all I coached for, and I just learned the game. I learned it from her on our 2-hour, 3-hour drives back from Topeka or Kansas City. I just asking her a million questions on the way back. This the whole time, trying to pass time, just asking her questions about why do we do this or why not this, or just question after question after question. And then so she moves on to Hutchinson, and I actually coached junior high for 1 year. I coached 7th grade B for 1 year, and it was really fun and enjoyable, and I really enjoyed that group of girls that I had. But then the next year, her assistant coach left, and they couldn't find an assistant coach for the longest time. So her third year at Hutch, they actually allowed me to be her assistant coach. And that was I was always like watching game film and trying to like give her my little input as much as I could to like what I thought they could be doing and stuff like that. But that third year, I actually got to join staff. And so it was all in the middle of her rebuilding the team already. And so we continued to just pour time and energy into it, and we ended up not going to state that year. It was a really good group of girls, and we ended up not going to state the next year after that. But then that fifth year, her fifth year, my third year there, we actually went to 6A state, and we got bounced in the pool play, but we were playing some great teams. I remember the last team we played was Olathe Northwest, and that was Brooke DeLahey. She got SEC Freshman of the Year and everything. A really great player. We saw really good talent, really good teams, and we kind of knew what that kind of looked like early on. And I think that was the good thing about coaching at a 5A, 6A level, is you kind of understand like what that talent looks like early on. And then the next year we dropped down to 5A, and that was when we went out and we had a 3-set thriller against Andover Central. And then we actually lost to St. Thomas Aquinas, and then we actually beat Bishop Carroll in that third game to make it to the second day of if you know how state for volleyball works, it's 2 days, and we made it to the second day for the first time in like forever for Hutch. And we played St. James Academy in like that very first game to see who would go to the championship. And it was a 3-set thriller. Like I honestly, at one moment, I thought we were going to win and everything. And you know how like volleyball is just a small world. I still remember as we were walking out after we beat Topeka Seaman in a 2-set. We actually went out there and beat them pretty handily. It's like 25-18 both sets, and we actually lost them earlier that year in 2 sets. It was crazy how we turned the team around, and you see the improvement. But I remember as we were walking out, I remember Nancy Dorsey and her husband, who also their husband-wife duo out of St. James, they kind of like gave us our flowers a little bit as we were leaving. Like, man, you guys are great coaches. You guys did such a good job with these girls, and you guys really turned the program around. And it's just really nice to hear those like words of affirmation from people that you kind of look up to as well. And then, you know, speaking on that, like I know this was just, I mean, to continue on, we used to play Mays, and actually Chris Lamb's daughter went to Mays South High School. And I remember he walked up to us one day before, which Chris Lamb coaches for Wichita State University's volleyball team. And he walked up to us one time, like as we were getting ready to start playing. He's like, I just want to tell you guys, you did a great job with this team. You guys are turning around, and to like hear it from him, like that was really cool. That was like one of my biggest moments ever, like to this point, was hearing from somebody like him that like he sees us like and how we're turning programs around. So
Maria, was there any apprehension about, you were searching for an assistant, about becoming, a wife and husband duo, or, the fact that he was already kind of volunteering for a t-shirt, to being a coach and had been around the game and had been exposed to it through you. Was there any apprehension though about teaming up with James and doing this as a couple?
Okay, so that is $1 million question everybody always asks is how do you coach with your husband, or how vice versa? He gets asked all the time, how do you guys do it? And to be honest, we just care about the kids, and we've just kind of created a system where we just get each other. We understand, and I trust that he's done it because we've had success with our system. Yes, it was a little rocky at first, because communication and all that, or maybe one of us a little competitive more than the other, or maybe we see something differently. But I just think like with any coaching staff is like, you really got to trust each other, and then you really got to value their input, right? And then be able to delegate like, okay, this is what you're doing. This is what I need you to do. And then having an understanding that and coming in a respectful manner and keeping it professional. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, he's my husband, but when we're on the court, when we walk in through these doors at work, whatever it is, or it's, sometimes at home, it's like, we respect each other and it's professional. His input has obviously been a big impact to, like where we're at, our process of being here and being able to kind of turn programs around and being able to kind of, build those relationships with their kids and create buy-in and create a culture of winning, and I'm very thankful for James and what he brings to the game, because he was kind of like he said, he was kind of a student of the game, but it brings a different perspective. I mean, you talk to other coaches, Ray Bouchard was this way. He coached basketball and he really loved. John Cook was a football coach and he kind of got thrown into volleyball, and look at the legacy he created, so sometimes you got to sit back and just because he didn't play volleyball, it brings a different perspective. He played baseball, so with serving style, I love the way Coach James is about serving. His technique of just being aggressive and getting teams out, and we've won a lot of games because of that strategy. It's like pitching. You bring in some ace pitchers, this and that, you can control a game, a flow game, you can create momentum, and I've respected so much because of that, and people who really understand the game, like emphasis on this. And so again, he brings a lot of that analytical side. It's like, okay, well, we're not, he's like, his eye for the game is so cool because it's opened up my coaching. I've learned a lot from him as well too. Sometimes he like has me dial back, sit back and be like, oh, let's think outside the box for this. You're right. Like, so I mean, honestly, if I didn't really trust and see the success we've been able to have together, then, it'd be a whole nother ball game. But no, Coach, I would not be here without Coach, honestly. So I respect that a lot, and I respect everybody else who gives us chances, because I know if you look an outsider looking in, it can, some people can kind of look at that kind of sideways, but no, everybody's seeing the value he brings to the table, and just really respect, and I respect him so much, and I'm very thankful for those who give us a chance. So
James, does it ever get to where it becomes tough though for you guys to turn it off when you get home? Are you guys always in coaching mode and talking volleyball even outside the office at home?
Yeah, I think that's what makes it the easiest and the hardest when it's a husband-wife duo is we always are bouncing ideas off each other. But it's also the hardest because sometimes we have to tell each other, hey, we need to, let's just try not to talk about volleyball for a little while, and let's just, try to distance ourselves from it. Everyone's, when you don't want to get burnt out on it. So we try to distance ourselves from it sometimes. But that's what I think makes it so enjoyable too, is like, we get to know these girls, like both of us get to know these girls. Like we were both teachers as well. We both taught at the junior high level, and you get to really know your students, and you really get to know like your athletes as well. And that's kind of like why you do it. And that's why you love to do it, is you get to know these girls outside of just volleyball and as people, and you just, I don't know. And that's what makes it so enjoyable is, you hope that in 5-10 years down the road, when they have a couple of kids and a husband, and they have their job and they're, living their lives, that, that you can just be invited to that wedding or, whatever else it is, just be a little bit part of their lives as they move on, and just know that you were hopefully a good part of where they are at now. Like you instilled a little bit of confidence. You instilled a little bit of that, like just willingness to just be a good person, and them as they move on throughout life. And honestly, yeah, it gets hard to shut it off sometimes, but I absolutely love it. And I wouldn't really change it too much. It's just we have to go to accept our separate corners sometimes.
Yes. Thank God for our doggies.
4 years ago, you end up leaving Hutch High. And make a move to Iola, Kansas, to coach Allen Community College, where you have a very successful 3-year stint with the Red Devils, 64-32 overall in the course of those 3 years, competing in a very tough Division II side of the Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference, make some postseason runs, all of that. Maria, what was that experience and that time like for you at Allen?
Oh, wow. Honestly, it was a great learning opportunity. We learned a lot. After Hutch, Delisi Downey at the time was at Hutch, and she asked me to come be an assistant. And I think at that time I was kind of ready. I was like, you know what, let's see it, let's do it, because I have gotten asked it as when you graduate, they ask you to be a grad assistant or assistant. And I was like, no, I just want to start my career. But I felt like at that time I was like, okay, why not? Why not? Let's go try it out. And she actually was a very great mentor. She was kind of helping me with the recruiting process, how to coach this, how to do drills. She's a phenomenal person and coach. And so that was during the springtime. And then the Allen job opened up, and she actually was one who texted me because it just opened up, and somebody at Allen Community College was reaching out to her. It was like, hey, would you want to come back to Southeast Kansas? And she's like, no, I'm at Hutch, She's like, but I have an assistant who I feel would be great. And even her telling me that, I was like, wow, I was honored, because I was in awe of Delisi. I mean, she's won a couple of natties and under her belt at Coffeyville and stuff, and she understands the Division II volleyball is in that conference in our JUCO is no joke. It is gritty. And she's like, hey, go try it out. Just go get you're ready. You don't need to be my assistant. You need to go and get this going. And I was like, okay. And again, talk about the imposter syndrome. You kind of sit back. I'm like, should I not? What is that going to look like? Am I going to be done teaching? That means I'm going to be full-time coach. Okay. But then there's part of me, I'm like, no, let's try it. Why not? I'm at the age, we're perfectly both at the age, and James is very big support on this. He was like, go do it, Maria. You can do it. And, and that meant a lot too, because sometimes, you sit back and I'm like, hey, we're going to do this. Are you okay with this? And he's like, yeah, let's go do it. Let's go. Why not? And, so yeah, I ended up officially getting the job on, I think it was July 6th or something like that. And we talked to the D, went down there and whatnot. So I was like, okay. So then when we get there, we had a house in Hutch, and we had to do all this stuff. We had to sell a house, all this. So it was like my hair was on fire. I'll be honest. Our hair was on fire. And then we get there, we had to sell everything, do everything, move there, find a house, blah, 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 within 2 weeks span before preseason started. So we're walking in, and thankfully his family, like Coach said, he's from Southeast Kansas. So it was really cool, because we knew we had family down there that we can kind of help count on in a situation like this. So they kind of let us stay with them for a little bit until we found a place and got our, we were going right into season. We only had 2 weeks, so we get there, meet the girls. Whitney, the coach at the time, Whitney, had already recruited everybody, signed everybody that year. So we're like, okay, so we got to meet the girls. I didn't have a lot of film on them, didn't really know their names, what positions. I didn't know what positions we didn't have. So you kind of walking in with a blank slate, but you have a group of girls in front of you, and they're all wide-eyed, like, okay, what's this coach about? 2 weeks of the season, we're getting told we get a new coach, but holy cow, man, that first year, I absolutely loved it. I remember it was tough. I'm not gonna lie. It was moments, there's a lot of learning curves. There's a lot of, the logistics of, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, recruiting, blah, blah, blah. When you're in high school, you get who you get, and you try and develop from there. In college, you have a little bit more of, leeway and more a little control of who you bring in, right? And so that was different. But my first group, those girls are super receptive. I'm telling you, that made me fall in love, and this is why I'm still doing what I'm doing, because that first year was such a great experience with those group of girls, because they would push a wall for us. They really did. They were also helping me out with the logistics. I'm sometimes like, hey, coach, did you do this? And I'm like, oh, didn't know how to do that, but okay, let's get it done, So I had to rely on them a lot for a lot of things as well, too. So they were great girls. They're all awesome. So, so we did really well that year. We actually got a good run. I'm not gonna lie. At first, we started a little rocky, just trying to figure out lineups and everything. It was a lot of learning curves. We did play some Division I schools. We then went down to Garden City, and then I knew at that time, I looked at the girls, they wanted to win. They kind of had a little falling out the following years and stuff, just because it was a little rocky of like finding success. The previous year before then, they'd have never won a set. Like they went like 0 and I don't know, whatever it was, but. So I think it was just the confidence, instilling the confidence, like, hey, we're playing really great teams. Let's stick together, trust the process. It's one process at a time. Let's not get so blind about wins. Let's get better. Like, let's continue to get better. And then, so the first 7 games we went, I think we were 0-7 at first, like, or something like that, 1-7 or something like that, or 3 or 7. I remember much. Coach does. He's really good about the stat stuff. But I remember we were kind of struggling that first few games, but we played Division I's and really tough teams. And then after that, we kind of figured out the system. We knew where everybody was going to fit, and then kind of go from there. And man, we made it we won 17 out of the 18 games those next games. And sometimes you have to face adversity. So I always tell them, like, hey, we had to face adversity early and figure it out. And we went and we went to Coffeyville that first year, and that was going to determine, that was a big game for us, determine playoffs. And that was going to determine who was coming out of the 5 seed. So we were down at Coffeyville, and we were just cracking up because we watch this film kind of sometimes too. We didn't have a big roster size, and we just we had 2 girls out with concussions, and so we had to line up, and you see Coffeyville side and they have 28 girls on the side, like in the team total, and they went and fought. I was so proud of those girls, and they went and fought, and we sealed the 5th seat, and that means we were going to have to go play KCK at KCK. And I knew we could do it because we played them early on that year, and we were up a couple of sets. We just couldn't finish. We couldn't close out, and just little things here and there. So I was confident going in, like, we can do it this round, And we ended up beating them, at their place, and it was so cool. It was so cool. Our girls worked their tails off, and it was fun. Like, we just went out there and knew, like, we're confident, and we had enough trust, and we kind of trusted each other and knew what everybody's role was, and it was cool. We beat them, and we turn around and we go down to Cali. And we had to play the number 1 team who just got winning nationals at the time. And Steven has a great program up there. I mean, that's why he's also in the Coach Hall of Fame, and he has a great success. But like you said earlier, it's a tough conference. Division II is not a joke. When you have, I think at one point there was 8 teams out of our conference who were ranked in the top 10. At the time. And before we got there, I think it was like maybe 4 teams out of our conference were ranked in the top 10 in the nation. So it just kind of just speaks volumes. And Jayhawk is not a joke. That's why I think a lot of people, we talk to other coaches and, conferences and stuff, they're like, Nate, Jayhawk is tough, and Division II is tough, and to be able to kind of get there, it was like, wow, okay, girls, like, we're here, like, now we know. So we kind of build off of that. So the second year, so that first year we did the playoffs, went there, this first winning record they'd had in like 21 years or something crazy like that. So then everybody was like, wow, like, let's get going, so you start kind of getting that, you start feeling that culture change, like, where everybody's stoked for you, everybody's pumped for you, and you get kids wanting to come and play, so in the following year, again, build more success out of it. We go again back to the playoff. We started winning more games, and start getting some success there. And going into the playoffs that second year, and I'm trying to remember because it all kind of falls in together. Who did we play that first round, Coach? Yes, that was a fun game. So we had Highland at home. So it was the first time we ever, Allen's was able to host anybody at home in like 17 years for playoffs or something like that. And so we had a great crowd, a great energy. Andrea's back at Highland. She has a great group around her. And it was a 4-set thriller. It was no joke. And so it was fun. We won. And then we're back at Cali. We're back at Cali. We went and played Cali at the time. I had won nationals again. It's like you were coming off this high of like, oh wow, we did great. We're off the playoffs. We're on to the championship round. And we're at the championship round at Friends. We're playing at Cali. And I remember Steven coming over to me, and he's like, we need to stop meeting like this. And I will never forget that. I'm like, yep, I know. Like, we're back here. So it was really cool. We fought as hard as we could, but fell a little short, and we didn't go to nationals. But 3 of the teams in our conference at the time got. 2 of them will obviously go on because it did play in districts A and B. So Johnson went, Cali went, and then KCK, I believe, got the bid, if I remember right, to go. then the following year, our last year at Allen, same thing. We started off really well. We went to a really great tournament because I really wanted to start getting national recognition. So because I knew the only way we're going to be able to get out of our conference is if we go and play really, really, really tough teams that see that the conference, because our conference is already tough, right? And we only play each other once, so it's different from Division I. So I was like, we need to kind of venture out and have these big time schools like Heartland, Parkland, Iowa Central, all the top tier teams that give us our flowers, be able to go play them and see that, hey, we can play with you guys as well. Our conference is just that stacked. And maybe we could get some bids. And so we went and played in Illinois, and it's where the top, I believe, top 60 teams, 50 teams in the country go play, and we got to play, and we played Sauk Valley the first game, lost 7-5, and they got 14th at Nationals the following year, or 8th at Nationals, actually. They got 6th or 8th at Nationals, I don't remember, but we played them in the first round. I'm like, hey, this is our first test of the season. Played a really tough set, went to 5, we fell a little short, but we knew we were there. Just seeing the style play and seeing the girls adapt. I'm like, okay, we have the clientele. We have the girls. We're able to compete. So then we kind of go from there, and we were kind of on a roll there for a little bit. And our biggest high at the moment at the midseason was we played Johnson at home, and Johnson had gotten second at Nationals that following year. So it was a big game for us. And we ended up beating them in a 5-set thriller, so that was really cool. And we're like, okay, girls, we are here. We deserved it. You really it's so that confidence, hey, we're here. We've been working hard. We know we can do it. And then so after that, that's when we started getting into the top 20 in the votes. We're in the top 20 in the country, and we're starting to kind of get more and more people to vote for us and start getting us into the top 20. So we started I think at one point we were at 24th, then 21, and then 20 or something like that, or something in the top from there. And then we went completely against NEO and all that stuff. So, yeah, sorry, I can go on the whole journey of Allen and this and that. But so then we had some really great highs, and it was really hard to kind of start keeping girls healthy. It was just we kind of ran into a tough stretch in our season. We had some girls, we had an ankle injury, and we had a concussion, and just stuff comes with the little things, but we didn't have a big depth. We didn't have a big roster at the time too. So it was really hard, and the girls, doing whatever they can to, keep pushing through it. But when you have those uncontrollables, and you just gotta make sure you're resting those kids and doing what you can. So we kind of ran into some humps and stuff, but we had to make adjustments. But at the end of the day, we finished as hard as we could and controlled as we could. And, we ended up going back to Cali the first round of playoffs, and we ended up losing to Cali once again that third season to the first round of playoffs. So that was really tough, but we learned a lot, and I'm very grateful for it. I'm very grateful for the administration and the family atmosphere that Allen had towards us and bringing us there, and and trusting that we could do that. So
well, and you raised the profile of the program, right? And
absolutely,
and had a level of success that they hadn't seen in decades, if ever. And so
yes.
I'm sure that had to make it tough, though, when you decided to leave after the 3 seasons. And you talked about, we opened up the interview with you touching on, your excitement about being back at Cloud and the experience that you had here. What made Cloud seem like a good fit and a good opportunity? Why did you ultimately make that change?
Well, yes, it was a hard decision because we love those kids. When you recruit kids, you recruit them because of the people they are as well too. Yes, they can be skilled, they can be the most talented players, but the big ultimately is are those kids are they going to fit your style? Is it going to fit your culture you're trying to build? And that was really hard. I think telling them that semester, hey, there's nothing personal. We are just going to make a change, and I got to do what's best for me and my coach at the time. Well, my coach James and stuff, what would be good for us. And I guess not to get too personal, but it is closer to home, and and family is a big part of who I am. I mean, that's why I've stayed in Kansas. That's why I wanted to stay in Kansas, because family is big to me. And my dad's health is not in the best shape, and I don't know how much time I have with him here presently. So it just ultimately was the best decision at this time, and I'm very thankful. And God has a plan for everything, and then it's just trusting that he was helping get us back, a little bit closer. And And I loved Cloud, so it was like when this opportunity opened up, I was like, why not? Like I'm excited. We understand it now. We get a process. We have experience. Let's go do this now. So yeah.
And James, you come into a program here at Cloud that has struggled the last couple of years, similar to where you guys started out in Allen. You get a little more of a head start where you're not joining in mid-July, but a lot of those girls had already been signed at Allen. You were having to recruit a new team starting in really January of this year, a little late to the process of when you actually want to be putting together the team for next year. And I know for you guys coming in, initially the goal was, let me sit down with the current student athletes, the members of the volleyball team that are here, get to know them, see if they have an interest in coming back, because I know a lot of them were undecided. Ultimately, 4 of them come back, Kennedy Casanova, Julianne Sandoval, Brooke Lougheed, and Addison Ogle. And we'll talk about recruiting the incoming freshmen that are joining this year. But tell me a little bit about just kind of that transition, and initially what was it you guys were wanting to tackle as coaches in kind of getting your foot, started off on the right foot here at Cloud?
Well, yeah, we wanted to initially recruit off the current team as we were coming in to see kind of who wanted to stay, who was going to go, just kind of gauge where everyone was at with that process. And I didn't want to, and I'm sure Coach feels the same way. I didn't want to have a team that didn't have any kind of leadership, that hadn't been through the battles of being at a Division I JUCO volleyball schedule before, and so. You try to bring back some girls that have been around it, some girls that we feel like could be really great leaders for us. And you just want them to help those freshmen that are coming in, because you're going to have to bring in a ton of freshmen for that first year, because we ended up only bringing in 4. So we actually have right now 10 freshmen and 4 sophomores on the roster. But we wanted to bring back girls that we knew that were great leaders and great people and had, great volleyball skills as well. And so we started talking to everybody, and the ones that were interested, like Addie Ogle, she's been here. This will be her 3rd year, and she's coming back. She's a redshirt sophomore, 3rd year. But she just, wanted to be a part of it. And I was so happy. I still remember meeting her, and I was like, I absolutely love this kid. And I love everything, like her personality. And I just met her, and I'm like, hey, would you be interested in coming back? And she said, yeah, I would be. And so we recruited her. And then Julia Sandoval, I knew like what her journey was. She got injured that first year, and she didn't really get to play. And she's been kind of been off and on the court for the last few years. And I said, hey, this kid, like if you see her in the gym, she's a little undersized for the middle position that she plays, but she can jump out of the gym. She's so athletic. And sometimes I don't think she realizes how athletic she is. And hopefully we can get that, her thinking that way a little bit more about herself. But she's such a great kid too. And I just enjoy being around her as well. And then Brooke, she's also on the softball team, but you can just tell I got to watch her play a lot of softball this spring. And I'm like, man, this kid's she's just an athlete, and you want to bring in athletes that are good kids as well. And she's coming back with a little bit of experience. She kind of did everything for the team last year. She played DS, so it gives us a depth at a couple of different positions. And then Kennedy Casanova, she's been wanting to be. I mean, she's one of our best leaders on the team right now too. She came back, and she's one of those kids that regardless of how the last year went, even though it wasn't very successful, you can tell that she wants to be successful, and she's trying to bring everyone else along with her. Like, hey, like I don't care how last year went. Like we're gonna be good this year. I want to be good this year. And so those kind of kids you need to bring in that like are just going to look after the freshmen coming in, but also have a mindset of like, hey, we're going to turn it around. Like we're going to be the group that turns this around, and we're going to be the ones that lead these freshmen, and it's not going to be about us. It's going to be about the team. And they've really bought into that as well. So yeah, it was a whirlwind. We recruited from January all the way up to like May, and just recruited. But we had to have some kind of cornerstone to bring back with those sophomores, and so that's why we wanted to bring them back as well.
10 freshmen joining the mix, including a couple of kids that stay in their own hometown, Balin Arnold and Kinley Hamill, who are from Concordia, Kansas, helped in 2024 lead the Concordia High School volleyball team to its first postseason run in 8 years. Kelly Rodriguez from Ellsworth, Kansas, so some girls close to home. But then, Maria, I know you guys have also added a lot more international flavor and depth to this year's roster. Again, I know you wish you would have had more time in the recruiting, phase. But when it came to the type of talent that you brought in and the type of talent that you look for, what are the traits that you're looking for? What kind of girls do you feel like are good fits for you guys and for the program that you're wanting to build?
No, that's a great question. You know what? If you were to step on our court, you get to experience girls who are, how to explain it? They're just gritty. Like, they want to win. They want to outwork everybody. They're competitive. But, man, are they, like, just fun kids to be around as well, too. There's, like, how to explain, they're just so funny. Like, they're, I don't know, just confident kids, but also kind. I'm a big believer, like, you can be the most talented, the most whatever skilled kid, but if you have the work ethic and you have the confidence that you can do it, I think those are the type of kids we want. And also just want to just want to keep growing, like, not be satisfied. They're always just hungry. I feel like the type of kids we have are always just hungry to keep getting better at everything they do. They work hard. They work around campus. They want to represent, with grace and, man, like, they're just role models. You look at them, you see them working their tails off. They're the ones you can depend on. They're very dependable kids, and they take accountability for themselves. And those are the kids that we love, is the kids that are willing, that you can trust, that they're not just because they're volleyball players, that they're going to show up for you, that they're great kids in the classroom. And we really hold that standard. And I think they're just pushing that standard of, like, volleyball is going to take you so far, but it's what you're learning from volleyball, and then just making sure you have that success out of here and being a good person. And that's the type of kids we look for. So, and I think we have a great group of girls this year. And you're right, like Kinley being around the corner, Balin as well too, have been a great addition, some awesome kids. They kind of helped us out this season with, just having ins and outs and being able to kind of like the network within our community, because we're new to the community. So they're here and they're helping us out and stuff as well. We have freshmen from internationals, like you were saying, like we're very we have 5 internationals. So it's like making sure they get here and they're happy here. They're homesick. I couldn't imagine, being 12 hours away from family. I'm 45 minutes from mine. So it's just kind of being able to find them, meet them halfway and making sure, they don't get too homesick and they're enjoying it here. And being taken care of as well too, because can you imagine a parent, instilling somebody to, let their kid come around across the country essentially, or, on the other side of the world to come play for you. It's a big gamble for them as well too. So just making sure, we're taking care of them and, creating opportunities for everybody is, if they want to continue on, is just helping them get recruited on as well too. So, yeah.
You guys hit the ground running. Practices officially start August 1st. 20 days later, you're going to be playing your first official match of the season. So the preseason at this stage for the girls has probably seemed long, but it really hasn't been. But you guys, I know, did a lot of 3-a-days in the gymnasium, a lot of conditioning stuff, individual drills, scrimmaging as a team. But finally got together on the court last week, competing at the Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference scrimmages that were hosted by Butler Community College in El Dorado, and had an opportunity to scrimmage against 4 different programs. They were timed scrimmages, so you don't get full matches in, but you get an opportunity to get them a look against somebody else for the first time. And one of the things, we talk about traits of your girls, but one of the things that really stood out to me was I just felt like you could tell how competitive they are when they finally got out on the floor competing against others. And then it was nice to see them after, almost 3 weeks of battling against one another in practice, to see them get excited for each other and see what they were doing in these matches.
Exactly. No, most definitely. I completely agree on that. The preseason, we tell them, at first when they first got here, you could tell they were all excited for volleyball, right? They were like refused. They just wanted to touch a ball, right? They all wanted to hang out and play 6-on-6 or do this or whatever it was, open gyms, whatnot. And then my girl was like, I love that. But we're about to get into a stretch of 3 days where it's going to be a lot, and we really want to sit down and you feel like a mom a little bit sometimes, like you want to prepare them mentally to, it's going to be okay. Every kid that we have gone through in a preseason have gone through this adversity, right? and just get them in conditioning, get them in skill, and get them up to pace of play. Like some of our internationals have played really high level, and then I think some of our other rest of our kids is like they're playing, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, or just girls at their age level, right? So it's just getting up to the pace of play from going from 1A volleyball, and then we have girls from like Texas who are playing at 3A, 5A level in Texas, So it's just getting up to the style of play we want to play is a fast tempo, getting them adjusted to it, adjusted with each other because, they don't necessarily all know each other. Maybe because Balin and Kinley have played with each other, for a while and stuff. But for the most part, they're all getting used to playing with each other. So yeah, it's been fun. I think at moments last week, all the girls, like at one point, I'm like, are you guys good? And they're like, yeah, it's just a lot. I'm like, yes, it is. Like, they're wearing their ice bags and, you could just see that it was a lot of volleyball, but it got them prepared for this weekend. And you could tell, like I told them, like, hey, this weekend's payday. You're working your tail off. Like, let's go make this money now. And it's just my analogy. Let's go have fun with it. Let's go get payday, And when they were in there, they were pumped because you're right. They were beating up on each other all the time, but they're competitive, They want to grow. Like I said, they're hungry to keep growing as volleyball players and as people. And the one thing we really harp on is, yes, it's being competitive with each other, but still love on each other. We still all represent Cloud. We all have a role in this team. And then just really, buying into that, understanding like, hey, like your success next to me is our success as well too. We cannot play volleyball with one person. Right? We're not successful just because of one person. It takes everybody on our team, on our coaching staff to be able to, do what we do and have the success of it, So I think just really understanding that, and the girls have done an amazing job to this point to keep growing with that mindset. Is like just love on each other, respect each other, keep wanting to get better. So
the season officially kicks off coming up this Friday as the T-Birds make the trip up to North Platte Community College for the North Platte Community College Tournament. Cloud County is going to open their season at 4 p.m. Friday against McCook Community College, and then you'll take on the host school, North Platte, the Knights, at 6:30 that night. 2 more matches to follow then on Saturday with Laramie County Community College and Gillette Community College. So 4 big matches to start off the season before the home opener, which is coming up on August 26th. Cloud County will host Bethany College JV for their home opener. And of course, we'll stream that match for you live on the T-Birds Sports Network at cloudtbirds.com. James, I'm going to throw this question at you. I actually want both of you to answer this, but I'm going to let you go first. But as we head into the season, what is it that you like the most about this team collectively as a whole right now, being around these girls, seeing how they've worked in practice, the scrimmages last week? What stands out? What do you like the most about this team?
I think Coach said it earlier, and I was thinking about it as well, and they're just so gritty. Like, they want to win. Like, they know – we told them at the beginning of the year, like, hey, we're not going to be big, and – you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to play defense, and we're going to have to play fast, and you're going to have to, keep going and going and going and just keep digging balls up and getting back in system and playing aggressive. And these girls they want to be successful. You walk into some gyms and girls, you'll see teams that aren't as successful, and they know that when they take the court. These girls, like, they just keep fighting and fighting and fighting, and like they're gonna find a way. Like, they want to find a way for each other and for themselves to win every single time. And they're such great kids too. Like, it's been so fun. Like, we got in here a week before we got them all in here about a week before the season started, and we had a host family, Randy Smith and Mary Beth Smith, and they hosted us for supper one night, and we were just laughing and joking and just enjoying each other's company for like just the 3 or 4 hours we were there. And they're just such an enjoyable group to be around. They're all great kids. They all want to learn. They're all so gritty. Like, they're like pretty much what you'd want like your daughter to be. Like, if I had a daughter that was in college, and yeah, I just love being around these girls. They're great kids. They're great athletes, and they want to fight. They want to win, and I just love being around them.
Maria, for you?
Honestly, if anybody can get the experience to sit there, and like I always use it as an analogy, I'm like, if you could just be a fly on the wall, like if you could just be a fly on the wall in the room when all these girls are in there, because not only are they gritty, they're hungry to play and stuff, but they're just like enjoyable to be around. Like, you come in and the first thing they overdo is like they can be having a really tough day, and that's one thing we preach. You can have a tough day, and we all have run those days and stuff, but they still like, I kind of use this as an example. Bella Eichert, freshman from Texas, she has said this quote to us, and I thought it was one of those kind of resonated with me. Is she said, "Be the light in the dark," right? Be the light in the dark, or be the light when somebody's in the dark. Oh gosh, how does it go? Now I'm stumbling on it, but she would be the light in the darkness when somebody needs a light, or something like that. And I absolutely love that the way she said it, because when she said it, she smiled, and she has such a big smile, and you knew she meant it. It says she wants to make sure everybody around her feels it. And I truly feel that with everybody on our team. Like they all kind of joke around like sisters. They have a really good sisterhood, I feel like, so far, and it's been great to kind of see that. And they joke around with each other. They love on each other, because I think they really understand like it's going to take all of us to have success, and what that's going to look like. And so it's been really enjoyable. Bella has been a great personality. We have Julia from Italy. If you get a chance ever, like, she's so funny. She just cracks little jokes here, and she's really witty. You have Dora, who's like our very mature, very just like, let's look at it this way. Very like, let's look at this. Let's get this perspective in there. And you're like, wow, okay. She's very mature for her age, I feel like. She's from Serbia. And then you get Samira from Germany. She's played a lot of volleyball, and it's been really fun to kind of see her. She's really big into like, the social media and everything. She has really great background. She's a great kid on the court. She's taken great leadership. I've been really amazed with Samira's leadership. She just brings everybody around her and wants to make everybody around her better, and that's been really fun to watch. Then you have Jasmine, fitness guru. It's been fun to watch her. She's just so athletic, and kind of instill that to our wrestler girls. It is like, we got to go work out. Let's go in and get this going. And she's very confident. So it's been really fun to kind of have her on our team to kind of push that confidence on us as well. And she's so funny. Then you have, I can go down a list. All these girls have this personalities that you cannot miss, and you will genuinely enjoy them. Then you have Kinley, who's very confident and like wants to make everybody smile and is loving, and you have Balin, who just cracks these little jokes here and there, but she just out hustles everybody all the time. Then you have Kelly Rodriguez, who comes in and who's just, how to explain it, she's there to kind of go with the flow, but she just makes sure everybody knows that they're loved. She's a very loving person, and she's very kind. Man, I'm going down the hill with all the kiddos that we have, and I'm like, man, like, we just I think Coach kind of hit the nail on the head with all their sophomores. They're going to work for you. They're great kids, and I'm very thankful to have them back. Kennedy, Addie, Julie, Brooke, they're bringing that experience with us, and the maturity as well too, and Julie as well. So it's been really fun, and hopefully we just continue to keep growing from there, and and then keep it pushing forward. Hello, Addie Allen. She's one of those kids that, again, she's so funny. It's been really hard for her, I think, the last couple of weeks. She's kind of been strained ab, and so we kind of been preserving her, and hopefully she gets back to 110%. But she's fun to watch too. She's a little spitfire. She's been a really big servant leader as well on our team lately too. Has been helping us out, and but when she's on the court, I'll tell you what, she's fun to watch. She has a dolphin dive that everybody always like gives that little dolphin dive little noise. I can't even do it. Kennedy does a great job, so I'm sure you can ask her, she'll do it for you. But she's fun to watch, and she's been really great for us as well too. And she's also from Colorado, so also another kid that's a little ways from home, and we've been really grateful for her and to kind of keep at us in that defensive position as well too. So
want to finish with one last question then, and I'm talking to your girls this week about kind of what their goals are for the season. I'd be interested to hear what your guys' are, but more specifically, even just looking at this first weekend, what it is that you guys as coaches are looking for. Obviously, everybody wants to go in there and win, right? So that's a given. So take kind of the win-loss factor out of it. Just more specifically when it comes to the development, the play, the how into it, locked in they are, those sorts of things. What's the focus for you these first 4 matches, this first weekend? What do you feel like you're going to be eyeing or looking for out of your players?
That's a great question. I think for me, for the most part, it's like, going in confident and knowing that we can do it. I think that's going to be the thing, is like, hey, going in, obviously being locked in, But skill-wise, I think it's just like we can go in and take 1 point at a time. Win every point that we possibly can that we have control over. I think for the most part, we have been focusing a lot on our serve receive because the first ball touch, you're 70% of the time you're in serve receive. And coach kind of brought this up, and it's true. I told the girls, like, when we went down to the preseason scrimmage and we saw the Division I schools, they got some height on their roster. We have a little height. We don't have a whole lot of height, so we're going to have to really focus on defense. And I think if we can be very disciplined on defense and use that as our strong point, because we're very scrappy, and I'm very thankful for that, because that is something we're going to really, really have to be really solid at. And we saw it this weekend, and I definitely want to continue to see that these next 4 matches. So defensively, disciplined, picking everything up, and just being consistent. I think that's another thing is to work on the consistency. Every time we have an opportunity to touch the ball, are we better in the ball? Are we putting ourselves in better positions? So just really focus on stuff like that. But I think that also comes with confidence and understanding the roles, and really just focusing on this ball and the next ball mentality. I think that would be big for us.
James, anything stand out for you that you want to see this weekend?
Honestly, I just want them to go out there and just fight for each other, point after point after point, and just play the style of volleyball that we know we can, which is, fast and loose. When it gets to like actual games and when it's not practice anymore, it becomes a little bit more, amped up a little bit more, and you just want to see them be comfortable in that type of environment. And, we got to see a little bit this Saturday at the scrimmage, but, when it's like really for a record, it might be, dialed up even a couple more notches. So you kind of want them to go out there and play the volleyball, that they can, and it's a pressure situation like that. So I want them to get used to playing in pressure. I want our as a team, as a system, to get used to playing in pressure, and I want them to fight for every point. I that's one thing that, is – we were talking about, what irks us or what our ick is. And one thing that irks me is when I feel like, people give up on themselves. And I don't ever want us to give up on ourselves, regardless of who's across the net. Like every single point, regardless of what the score is, we're going to keep fighting until, the game eventually comes to an end. But I think right now I have very high hopes for this team. I know you said besides winning, but I have very high hopes for this team, and I think we can go out there and we can kind of upset the world, because I know, like, from previous years, the last couple of years to this year, that people are probably really down on Cloud. But I told the girls, I was like, nobody knows outside of us right now, like, what we can do this year. And I think that we can really go out there and we can do something. And as long as we're playing for each other and we're playing the system we know we can, I'm pretty excited for this season. I'm pretty excited for this weekend.
It all starts Friday, the North Platte Community College tournament. Coaches, best of luck. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Toby.
Thank you, Toby.
Are you a Kansas or Nebraska high school senior who's thinking about your next step after high school? If so, you qualify for Cloud County Community College's $500 early bird scholarship. All you have to do is visit campus before December 19th and have a GPA of 3.0 or higher, and you get a $500 scholarship guaranteed. So come visit Cloud and see why our students are Cloud proud. On your visit, you'll see our campus, meet with an academic advisor, and get a chance to have all your questions answered. Set up your campus visit today by giving us a call at 785-243-1435 extension 212 or visiting us online at cloud.edu/admissions.
My thanks to Cloud County Community College head volleyball coach Maria Aikins and T-Bird assistant volleyball coach James Aikins for being our guests this week on T-Bird Talk. The Cloud County Community College volleyball team gets its 2026 season underway in North Platte, Nebraska at the 2026 North Platte Community College tournament this Friday and Saturday. The T-Birds will also travel to Ranger, Texas for the Wrangler Ranger Roundup next week. And the team's home opener is coming up next Wednesday at 6:30 when Cloud County hosts Bethany College JV. Quickly, Cloud County will open Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference play September 2nd at home against Garden City Community College. In the weeks ahead, we'll be talking more T-Bird volleyball, including getting an opportunity to sit down with members of the 2026 Cloud County volleyball squad. Also in the weeks ahead, we'll be talking Cloud County Community College women's and men's cross country. They will get their season underway September 5th at the J.K. Gold Classic hosted by Wichita State University. And the Cloud County Community College baseball and softball teams are gearing up for their fall seasons. You can keep up to date on the latest information in all of T-Bird athletics by checking out Cloud T-Birds T-Bird.com. For up-to-the-minute updates, you can also follow Cloud County Athletics on Facebook and Instagram, and CCCC Sports on X. A third season of T-Bird Talk is here, and new episodes of the podcast will drop each Thursday, so make sure you're subscribed to the show on your favorite podcast platform. T-Bird Talk is a production of the Cloud County Community College Athletic Department.